Chasing payment, that is a sport that sometimes you're called to do as a business owner that you never want to be part of. My name is Christine Kasina, and I'm here to curate this conversation, the Open Talk series by Kingdom Bank Growth Hub. It is here to empower you as a business owner, and we know one of the pain points that you have is collecting money owed to you. On this conversation today, we have Mr. Paul Kameri, a risk analyst, a business advisor, who's going to give you tips on how you can get that money owed to you. Mr. Kameri, have I oversold it, or is it true?
It is true. That's what I do. Based on what I do every day and what I've done for the last 30 years, it's true that I have an experience, a quite indulging experience in correcting money that is owed to myself, to others. And the biggest problem I find every time I have that conversation is that I realize it confirms to me how difficult it is to go to sell, to wear that hat of selling, and then right at the tail end of the whole transaction, you wear another one for collecting. It is completely impossible because there's an incongruence in those two personalities.
But let's stick to that point that you've just raised, which I think is a very important point.
Yes.
Because for most people who are watching us right now, business owners, you find that you wear a lot of hats within the business. You're the salesperson, like you've mentioned, you're also the accountant, you're there to collect payment, you are the marketing person, you are sometimes the cleaner, you are everything, you're the HR. But then at the end of the day, this is the capacity that you have. Do you think as people who are in business, we need to separate ourselves from collecting money owed to us? Do we need to get people to collect the money for us so that people can take us seriously, or what do we need to do?
I'll give you an example. When you're selling, you are in the seeking favor territory, because there's so many other people selling the same product you are. You're not inventing the wheel. Yes. So you have to be naturally nice, or even unnaturally nice, and of course going beyond that call of duty, because you really want the people to buy your product or your service.
Absolutely.
When that is finished and the people sell, remember, I always tell people, a sale is never a sale until the cash register rings. Not remembering that in that act of selling, seeds of default are being planted.
We're excited to have sold.
Yes. Now, when you go to collect 30 days or 15 days down the line, and maybe there were promises made at the sale point about maybe we like our money by 30th of the month or by
30 days
15th of the month.
Yes,
that thing is there. So when they don't do that, when they don't subscribe to those rules that you set for the sale, then you go to face them. Now that person, that nice seller, now have to be dissolved, and another one, a collector, has to crop up. It is immensely difficult to hear those two hearts, because now you have almost a disjointed personality.
Right.
Because this person is the one who initially did you a favor,
and then
now you have to put on another face of seriousness.
Hey, you need to pay me.
This must be attended to now. But when you said a profession like me, I am completely detached to the emotions that were there when you're selling.
For somebody who's watching, and most of them are small business owners, first of all, you're thinking to yourself, I do not have the money to hire a Paul Kameri to go and collect the monies owed to me. Does it mean I'm doomed, that I will never get these payments? Or do I just say, you know what, this relationship, it's okay if it fizzles out as long as I'm paid?
No, you're not doomed, because it depends on the affordability and whether you can afford the collector or the team that goes to collect, or an accountant or somebody, or even
So that's an option?
Yes, an option. Yes,
okay.
Option. You can collect, but we are telling people increasingly it's better to use a collector, because they bring in the money. There's this thing of saying, and I'll give you an example, that there's that condition written that it's 30 days only. But you see, if you're selling to an institution, for instance, before they come to buy food from you, a committee have sat down, have decided on a need of that product that you're selling, have set a budget aside, and probably cash it in the bank. So it is now the responsibility is on the seller to bring that good or the service with the right specifications to the right department, and make sure that it is received by the right department.
Right.
So after that, it takes a few, maybe a week or two to the most, for the people who you have supplied to make sure that the goods of the service meets their specifications. So, but you being the seller and you had promised 30 days, you will keep on watching the calendar, waiting for the 30th of the day. But a collector, the first question if you hire us or a collector, the first question they will ask is the client satisfied that the product met the specifications?
I say yes.
It was. So you don't have to wait until 30 days to pay me because you got what you wanted.
Wait, but in the document I stipulated that, I stipulated that payment needs to be done within,
on or before.
So possibly what we need to tell our business owners
Yes.
is that the wording that we use in our invoicing policy
Yes.
could be some of the things that we need to change.
Because it doesn't mean that because I have bought from you,
I understand.
I have to wait for that day. I've done that. I've done that. I've talked to people who the client was thinking they have to wait for that day. But I had a meeting and asked them, did you like the product? Did it meet their specs? The reasons behind the purchase determines strongly how that payment will be paid.
What are some of the strategies that you can recommend that work when you are thinking about collecting payment to get them to pay you without tears? What are the methods we can use?
Process of procuring the sale must be 100% clean.
Okay.
Number 2, the documentation must be in order before you go to ask for them.
Do I need to create a relationship now, say with somebody in procurement, or do I need now to go out of my way to create a network in the accounts department for me to get paid?
The person who bought from you is the one who was in charge of the specs. So he's the one who says, yes, these are the right things. He's the one actually who signed, even before it was taken to the procurement department. They said, fine, this is the right product. And if that person who you dealt with, the initial person you dealt with, is the person who is going to take you now to the next stage, where after you receive goods, you go to the procurement, they certify the goods were good, then they shepherd you into the accounts department. Right. And normally they will tell you, so-and-so is the one who deals with payment. Please talk to him. So if your documents are clear, the product was okay, the time is okay, you have supplied the product which meets the specs, and the documentation have been received by them, they will confirm that the document has been received. Because one mistake we do is that we send documents to the client with maybe a messenger, because you might not be able to take care, you send a messenger. But these days people send boda right now. Or
yes.
And the person who delivers document does not deliver to the right department. So you are sitting in your shop thinking that my payment is being processed, yet the documents never left the reception. So
what can we do to mitigate that?
So the first thing when you do that, you have to call after you send the whoever you sent to take the document.
Good point.
You have to make sure you contact the person you sold to make sure that the documents are received.
Did they get to you? Yes.
Yes. Did the document get to you? Yes. Are they in procurement? Where are they now? Yes, we are in procurement, but sooner, maybe tomorrow, they will be in accounts. Then you are comfortable. But if you don't check that way, you go into an account department and will tell you, we don't know.
And then you start going off on them and they have no idea.
Yes, and then you lose it. Of course, most of us, we are what skin? Eh? we don't have thick skin. So when somebody asks us a question, maybe you met the accountant in a bad mood and he talked something, and then you take it personal.
Then it's personal.
Another thing you need when you're selling and collecting, nothing is personal.
Put emotions aside.
Of course. The problem is not the person who bought from you. The problem is not the person who you sold to, or you yourself. The problem is the debt.
When I'm collecting my debts, is there a way I'm supposed to call that I need to frame my words in a certain way? Is there anything like calling too much? Or when I call on the other side, do I need to know the people in accounts, mention a name perhaps for me to be able to be paid faster?
There's no overcalling. Once you have supplied and they have accepted your goods, first of all, they ask you to supply. There's an LPO. You supply their goods delivery notes, their invoices.
30 days have lapsed, for example?
Okay. When 30 days have lapsed, the kind of conversation you are going to have, you have, first of all, if it is the first, depends on, if you have been calling, because the first thing you do is that you call very, very calmly and ask if your payment has been processed.
Very calmly.
Calmly. Because you might not know what's happening behind in those, because they are not only dealing with you.
Good point.
They are dealing with many people. So you need to establish the fact before you go ballistic. Even some of them, after you have exchanged a little bit edgy words, edgy, edgy
kindly
words.
Advise.
Then you have to tell them, kindly advise the stage at which my payment is in.
And when they tell you when your signature is out of the country.
Cardinal rule number 3.
Again.
Write down everything people tell you, the responses you are given by the people who you collect from. And diarize it on the date that they told you and who said that. Because one day assuming it will go down completely now and become bordering on a bad debt, the letter, when you give us as a debt collector, when you come to us as a risk, the letter we shall highlight all those promises that are made by particular individuals in that organization.
On this particular date.
Yes. We said this and we've been waiting, and this position has become untenable.
So what you're saying is, we, as small business owner, we no longer need to be casual in the way we collect the monies owed to us.
Don't be casual. Be firm, not harsh.
Firm, not harsh.
Yeah. Firm indicates that this situation must be attended to urgently. It is important and in their interest that they do so. Because one of the things people don't do, they don't remember who they talked to. They don't remember what they were told last time. So they're so confused. So every time they call somebody, no, you didn't talk to me. My name is Paul. You talked to somebody, to John. Right? Then say, oh, okay. Oh, you are not John? No, you are Paul. Okay, now tell me what you want. And then I start now.
Then you start again.
And promising you now further into the future.
Like we said at the beginning, chasing payments sometimes for a small business can be a sport. I know we need to come to the end of this conversation, which I know for anybody who's watching, this has been impactful. I hope you've learned something. In summary, 1, 2, 3, when it comes to chasing payment, you said number 1, Mr. Kameri said number 1, you need to have your documents in order. That was 1. Number 2,
make sure they got to the right office.
Make sure they get to the right office. When you send a rider, do a follow-up phone call, email to make sure they got to the right person. And the third one?
Get the name of the person who is now having the documents.
And from today onwards, make sure you note down the person you called, on what date and what the response was.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know we don't have a lot of time on this particular episode, but chasing payment is something we'll continue to do as business people for a very long time. But whatever you do, make sure that you're working with facts. Try to put your emotion in check and find ways, if possible, to then outsource that element of your business and get the professionals to do it for you. I do hope you've learned something. Please share in the comment section if you'd like another topic for Mr. Kameri to come over and empower you on, and we'll be here for you. This has been the Kingdom Bank Open Talk series, here to empower you to take your business to the next level. Be sure once again to share your feedback so that we can keep growing together. Thank you so much for watching.